Hey everybody, just want to say thank you again for your support this semester and helping us facilitate Cougar Table and an additional intervention for students that need some additional support. Just want to highlight a few quick things here as we transition back to kind of in-person Cougar Table. So kids will see you daily during their Cougar Table period. We've assigned or kind of identified kids through a variety of ways. It is super gray. We are not using some sort of black and white thing. So we initially kind of identify students with D's and F's. For right now, we did that in the areas of English, science, math, and social studies, but that will likely expand over time depending on our ability to fulfill kind of those needs. We're making sure that these students are mostly students that come to school, that they don't already have other supports in place like a pause or a tutorial, etc. And then counselors and supervisors also kind of give it a quick look to be like, yeah, this intervention can possibly work for this kid, or no, this is why this isn't going to work. And so we've removed some of those students, and we can continue to do that based on kind of where this goes over time. I'll communicate with parents and students about the when and the where and the what. Naturally, it takes students a few days to kind of be like, oh yeah, I don't have this study hall. I'm now in this kind of intervention and I need to go to this person's class here. So it will, that first day, don't be alarmed if you have a few students that don't show up. That's natural. We'll get to attendance here in just a second. So kind of responsibilities kind of for you all and what we need you to do to help facilitate this intervention. So you're checking in with students daily that are on your roster. We'll get to that in a second. You're going to take attendance each day in Power School and Gradebook. These students will always roster about 24 hours before or the night before the intervention begins. If a student doesn't show up, you are marking them study hall truant, so that alerts the LST and myself of students that we need to be checking in with to make sure that they get to your door. We really want to push some of the resources that are already in place for students that need support. You are not their tutor, right? You are helping them navigate a couple of other things in the tenets of the program, but you are giving them, making sure they have access to and really start to engage with resources, especially if they're hesitant to going up to a teacher help desk, or especially our peer tutors, which is really sort of kind of exploded with sessions this year. So I'm hoping that some of these students, even if they need a little nudge, that we get them up there to those supports that are already kind of in place for our school. Certainly communicate any other needs to me or the deans or the counselors with any students that are currently in your class, in your Cougar Table roster. So additional supports that you have, Rush University did a very long training with us last year relative to things that often kind of inhibit and affect kids' ability to be successful in class, and a lot of it is stuff that we take for granted. So this folder has tons of organizational, time management, study skill supports. One of the things that we are hearing from a lot of the intervention specialists in our building right now is that the time management piece and the executive functioning piece is maybe been one of the hardest transitions back to our current environment and the schedule and other barriers that kids are maybe facing. Some of those things as adults we just sort of take advantage, or not take advantage of, we take full advantage of, because we can just do them innately and really well. And so this really helps us as adults kind of break down, oh yeah, we do need to talk about like when are you doing your homework and how long is it going to take and what do you actually do if you're stuck. Some of our kids just can't process those types of things. So you have access to those there, and then additionally, there's the link to the ARC website. Obviously, when it's open, etc., which is, you can send them up to the ARC during the Cougar Table period as often as you need to for them to get support. And then several Cougar Table teachers in the past have really liked this Google form. You can make a copy for yourself and have your students fill it out daily. The expectation is not necessarily that you meet with every single kid and kind of conference with them daily. You may only do that once or twice or 3 times a week, but this allows you to kind of keep everybody organized, know what they're working on, and kind of what they need from you. So you can edit the questions, and then you've got the responses there for your students on your roster. So the 3 primary tenets, like what are the 3 main goals as you reflect on this for students? One is, and I just want to say we built to this and kind of updated this last year off of Zaretta Hammond's work and research, and then of course from that Rush University training. So number 1 and foremost is that we are working on creating a safe and positive relationship with the student. Bear anything else, this is what kind of we want you to focus on, that you are one more person in the building that has a positive relationship with the student feels like you've got their back, that you're encouraging, that you're motivating, that you're pushing them to work harder. And so that seems obvious, right, for us as educators that we're already doing those things, but there's some really cool ideas and thoughts just for us to reflect about how we were doing that, especially with some of our striving learners when they give us a lot of reasons, sometimes every day, of reasons not to do that. So just building that relationship with someone else in the building, we think is really crucial. So that's number one, the first thing we're doing. Two, you're meeting the students where they're at, specifically listening and assessing. Cougar Table is not something where the same interventions are what we need for all 8 kids or 4 kids, however many are on your roster. We are looking at what are the specific things that this student needs, and where are they at? So just kind of listening them and asking some questions as you get to know them and build relationships, because what that student needs is obviously going to be very, very different. We find a lot of students in this situation really do have a lot of negativity bias, where they are just negative about their ability to kind of get out of this, or of their own skills and academic abilities, or just school in general. And so working to kind of expel that and stick to the positive, and starting to create momentum on things that they can and are successful at. So that leads right into number 3, which is, rather than kind of setting lofty goals and things that can feel daunting, when they're missing 10 assignments or they have an F or whatever, what is the one next right thing that you can do to be successful? So that's maybe bringing something to the next class. It is completing one thing. It's going to get help from this person. It's scheduling a meeting. Like, what is the first domino that you and that student are identifying to have some success and feel better about the situation? It may just even be having a conversation with you or with that teacher, or again, going to get help somewhere, but really having kind of a strategic first domino and thing that they can feel success on, to kind of knock down the rest of those as you start to build that goal and that next action item. So relationship, assessing and listening where they're at, and then what is that next right step that they can be successful at, in order to kind of break down kind of what's occurring and what they need help with. So that's it. If you have questions, if there's anything that I can do to be supportive, obviously connect with me at any time, and certainly the student's counselor, and we'll do everything we can. We really appreciate your support with this intervention. Thank you so much.